Hello class, this is Professor Dave Bynum coming to you. I just wanted to take a little minute and talk to you in a video, talk to you about how to secure your building and property. This lesson we're going to talk real quickly about 3 levels of physical security. Physical security addresses actions you can take to protect buildings and property, assets and things like that against intruders. When designing a physical security program, the 3 levels that you need to protect are your outer perimeter, I've got a bug in here, your inner perimeter, and your interior. If you can implement 2 of the 3 forms of security at each level, then you will more than likely have an effective physical security program. Let's talk a little bit about the outer perimeter security. Talking about the outer perimeter security of your property is defined by the actual property lines. So in securing the outer perimeter, your goal is to control who can walk in or drive onto your property. One of the more extreme forms of perimeter security is a barbed wire fence with a gate and protected with an armed guard. Sometimes you got more money and you can kind of beef that up a little bit, but in other cases a simple hedge might be sufficient. It all depends on what you're trying to secure. In deciding what type of perimeter security to implement, you need to weigh the risk of an intruder entering your property with the cost of the available security. In other words, if somebody did break into your property or walk onto your property and they stole a $100 bicycle, does that offset the cost of a $3,000 piece of security equipment or a $10,000 security guard contract? So your resource, your priority resource, or your resource that you're protecting, you got to always take the risk into consideration. If the risk is acceptable, then you've got perfect security. If you've got something that you don't want to fall into the hands of the bad guy, it might be the secrets of a certain pill or something of that nature. And if the ingredients of that pill fell into the hands of your adversaries, you can be put out of business. Then by all means, that's a high priority. So you would probably spend lots of money keeping that secure. And that's why the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security Homeland Security, they spend lots of money on their infrastructure for the computers, because by federal law they are bound to protect that information, and if they don't do an adequate job, they're bound by federal law to suffer the penalties. So that's why they spend an awful lot of money on that. Let's talk real quick about natural access control. Criminals like to feel that they are in control as they enter and exit your area. When they're in control, they have a low perception of the risk. In other words, they feel that they can just walk right on and nobody really watching them, and they can do what they want to do, since they believe they're able to move about unnoticed. However, this sense of control can be denied by limiting and clearly marking approaches to buildings and properties, thereby channeling visitors into a defined area. So let's just think about your front yard, for instance, is rather huge. So we put a fence around it, and then we put a gate. And we also, when you open that gate, we've now constructed a fence that goes up the sidewalk to your house. Now we're controlling the direction and as people access your property. So your natural access control, you can use landscaping features, or you can buy things and put in there to control the people's access to it and direct their, keep their direction in check. That way everybody walks the same way onto your property. Real quickly about territorial reinforcement. The purpose of territorial reinforcement is to prevent unauthorized entry and to create a clear distinction between public and private property. This distinction is more important for 2 reasons. Legitimate occupants have a sense of ownership and will notice people who don't belong in that area. And also legitimate on the other hand, will have a hard time blending in. So that legitimate occupants have a sense of ownership, and they'll notice who walks in their property, and they'll also be able to recognize who doesn't belong and who does belong. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. Territorial reinforcement is not the same thing as perimeter security, but the goal of both is the same: keeping intruders off your property. Inner perimeter security consists of doors, windows, walls of your building. Protecting your inner perimeter is usually accomplished with locks, keys, and alarm systems. Purpose for locks and keys is to keep intruders out, and electronic access control is also a useful tool to control the flow of traffic into your perimeter. Also keeps track of them as well. Finally, an alarm system warns you when the perimeter is breached. When designing any perimeter security system, be careful not to lose control of your keys. That's why key control is a must. You cannot have an effective security program if you don't have a key control. Talking about interior security is your final level of security and consists of interior of your building. Security cameras are an effective tool for monitoring the interior of your business as well as record evidence of crimes or later investigation. So when you got the cameras up there and they're videotaping, yeah, we want to provide a psychological deterrent for the bad guys, but also we're making a record of where everybody was at any given time, just in case a crime is committed. It gives the detectives, investigators, and security folks a starting place. A little conclusion, and I'll wrap it up. While many of the means to provide perimeter and interior security overlap, for example, security guards and cameras to protect your perimeter and interior, thinking in terms of these three levels and trying to implement 2 or 3 physical security measures at each level will help you to implement an appropriate physical security program. So it's not a matter of how much, it's a matter that you do. You can sit and talk about security all day long, and if you don't put your words into actions, nothing will help to prevent loss of whatever it is you're trying to protect. We'll talk more on it later. I just wanted to get this video out, let you hear me talking, and break the monotony of reading everything. So thank you. Have a great day.